You guys have been great at the end of close games, 5-0 this year in 5-point games, including 4-0 in your last four. What is it about these guys and the way they play late in games to be able to pull all those out?
Well, we've had some leads in those. We didn't do great in the Ohio State game. That was a game that I thought, we gave away with lack of defense. I think Tiger does, obviously he, for the most part, he never turns the ball over in closer games. I think we've been able to get some timely free throws. Colorado, Cody gave us some big buckets down the stretch. Arizona State, Cody gave us some big buckets down the stretch. Playing smart, I think, it helps. Fouling, trying to make the other team make a shot to beat you is something that we practice. But I got to be honest, I got to somehow we got to be able to get the ball in bounds a little bit better. We did last game. We overcame that again, with decent defense down the stretch.
You guys have made, I think, 70% of your shots in the last minute of those games. Do you practice free throws at the end of practice when guys are tired to kind of simulate those situations?
Yeah, we have a drill that actually Martin Jarman used to run because he played for a good friend and mentor of mine, Jerry Wainwright, that Coach Wainwright gave to me years ago when he was taking UNC Wilmington to many tournaments. And I got my first job at Murray State. So we got to make 21 free throws in 5 minutes. Every time you miss, you got to run an immediate sprint down and back. So we do things on the clock. I'm a big believer in run and then shoot the free throw instead of just standing there shooting multiple free throws. So there's pressure. If you miss, your whole team's got to sprint. And then the next guy's got to get to the line and make a 1-on-1. We go on down the line. So sometimes we play with that drill, make it even harder. And it's got to be a double sprint if a guy misses the front end of the 1-on-1. So that's how we try to work on them. But again, you got to give kids credit when they're getting the job done. I think coaching can be overrated sometimes.
Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, Mike?
The points and rebounding distribution seems to be even among some of the top producers on the team. I mean, you have 6 guys that are scoring over 8 points, 4 guys in double digits, 4 guys that have 5.8 rebounds a game. Is that on purpose? I know you don't have a go-to scorer right now, especially with Chris out, but would you rather see more players able to produce for you?
Well, I think what you just told me is most of our players are producing. So your question, would I rather see more? I'd love to see all 10 guys producing. We average 100 a game. But I think what you're getting at, would you like us to have a guy average 19 that's a, first team All-American at the end of games? Cody in the low post has been a go-to guy for us. But you're right. I think we got multiple guys. I think Tiger is developing into teams that if they want to play him to pass, he proved against Arizona. Something we talked to him about was, when you get in a lane, you got to score. You can hit the guys off pick and rolls and spray it out. But when you get into the middle of the paint, you got to look to score. He's getting better at that. I think we got a lot of guys can put the ball in the basket. That's why I think we're 11th in the country in offensive efficiency. We pretty much always are out there playing 5-on-5. And what I mean by that is we don't play a guy that can't score. That really helps you as an offensive coach.
Tracy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, Tracy?
What can you do to get Jake Tymon back in his groove, or what are you doing?
I like that we're winning games with him not shooting great. But I will tell you, he's improved immensely defensively. He took 2 charges that went uncalled at Arizona that definitely were charges. He's improving. The ball just hasn't really dropped for him. And I'm not concerned about that. We can win when that doesn't happen. I still don't think we haven't had a game where we've really shot it the way we're capable of shooting it, because the game's coming where all those guys make shots in the same game. I still think that game's out there for us. So he's still a young guy though, but I think he's really improved. I know he has defensively because the film doesn't lie. So, I tell him, keep shooting, you got to, don't hesitate. You just got to make sure you get your feet set. You also can score off the dribble. He's got a really good, what we call a stride stop, where he gets in the lanes and hits the brakes and pivots and shoots over the guy. He's good off of his shot fake. So I know what you're saying. He hasn't had that game yet where he had last year, a couple where he really lit it up, but I know it's coming.
Is it a matter of him also being able to move away from the ball, create a little bit more space for himself?
Well, I think, our screening could be a little bit better at times. We've had I think we had him a few shots. We caught some illegal screens overdoing it. But to be honest with you, it's just, he's gotten a lot of open looks that I like our chances when he gets them. They just haven't gone down. So we just got to make sure we keep getting him those looks. And law of averages will bear out, I think, with him. I would definitely wager on that happening. We just got to make sure he doesn't lose his confidence and stays aggressive. And we see it in practice every day. So our guys know, because he's knocking them down every day.
How encouraging is it for you that, like what you just said, that you think your team still isn't shooting threes at the capability that they can, but I think you're leading the Pac-12 right now for a 3-point shooting percentage.
Yeah, it's very, very encouraging. Obviously, obviously when I took this job, I thought I knew who had been signed, who was on the team. Obviously, knowing I thought I could get a different level skill player here. So that's the encouraging part. I agree. And I mean that. We keep passing the ball. I think you got to remember they're young too. Johnny and Jake, two of our best shooters. David's a little older, and it shows in his numbers. But even Jaime and Tiger, sophomores. So Jules is much improved. So I think that game's out there for us. I think it's coming. But we've got to improve on the defensive end. We've won games that we should have won by 10 or 12. We blew the Ohio State game. And we put ourselves in tough situations because of there's five. I always just point to the guys when we show the film, like there's 5 or 6 just egregious errors, egregious breakdowns on a defensive end that I'm just not used to. We talked today about, like, last year, we won 11 of our last 14, and you guys cover us. It was not with our offense. We have got to have more of a pride about who we are on the defensive end. And if we do not, we will not go where we want to go as a basketball team this year if we don't improve on the defensive end.
Let's go with Dylan.
Hi, Mick.
What's up?
Hey, this is a little bit related to what Ben asked about earlier, but at around this time last year, you were talking about how you were satisfied with the effort, but that the team had to learn how to win. Obviously, you guys have been, like Ben mentioned, winning these close games. Just how much progress do you think your team has made in that regard?
What's interesting, Dylan, and we've made a lot of progress, a lot. From a very young team, very inexperienced. It didn't have enough fortitude to close out games. We've grown exponentially, but there's a lot of ball to be played. I still think that we've had some games that shouldn't have been so close. But this year, what's interesting, what Ben alluded to, and I think somebody else, is we've been able to shoot over 70% and get buckets late in games. Where last year we were winning with stops. When we got on our run, we were winning on the defensive end for the most part. So I think that's an area where I know we can improve, and we have to improve. So we're not in so many close games. When you can shoot high percentages, Like you go to halftime against Arizona and you're shooting 60%. We were shooting 60% in the first half and it's tied. Like that's so foreign to me. Like if that happened when I was at Cincinnati, we were up 20 and we shot 60%. We were up 20 in a half and made multiple threes. So to be tied, that shows you how we must improve on the defensive end. But it does help, because you can win games different ways. When a team's hot, we're able to we have answers, and we can keep playing. We can keep matching baskets with them. But I just believe that's going to catch up with us at some point.
And just one more, the way last season ended, where there was kind of no ending, right? You just,
Right.
Pandemic kind of hit. Once some time passed and it kind of settled in, I don't know, what type of taste did that leave in your mouth in terms of just kind of unfinished business? And with the players, how much, if any, do you think there was any kind of carryover of those feelings into this year?
I don't know if there's, the world has been through so much. I don't know if there's any carryover. I think, I know that the guys were devastated. I'm sure, which most teams were, but I think what you have in our sport, you have teams that are playing well late in the year. They know they're going to make the tournament, and their excitement level is off the charts. Like they're playing well, and they can't wait to dance in March, and that was us. So those types of teams, when you pull that out, because everything these kids do in a year-round sport nowadays with their training is to get to that moment. So the teams that and it's all going well for you. It's like unbelievably devastating for those guys, because you get, you do all the work and you get no reward. I don't know, as far, like, I think the world changed in the summer, and you got to remember the Pac-12 voted not to play non-league in August. And then that got flipped. So the emotions that these guys, are we going to play? Oh, we're not playing until January. Oh, now we are playing. It's just all these kids nationally have been through so much with this stuff. It's, I think it's unprecedented, obviously, something that we hope, nobody ever goes through again. But our guys have been great. You got to remember, these kids at the high level, like this is their lifelong dream. Everything they've done is to play basketball on the big stage. So it stinks for them. You're walking out of that tunnel at Arizona and there's no fans there. I mean, it stinks. But, man, I give them credit because they've been awesome. Our guys have been, they've been dedicated, and they've, knock on wood, tried to sacrifice social life and everything they can to play basketball. So it's what I told Chancellor Block when we had our conversation about it. Like, it's hard. For people on the outside, it's hard for you to understand how much these guys love basketball and want to play. And it's everything to them at this time in their life. I mean, this is the culmination of like their whole childhood to be in the moment they're in now. So, so when you look at it that way, it's probably not as surprising that they're sacrificing and playing in empty arenas the way these kids are, because this is everything to these guys.
All right, just a couple more here. Let's go back to Ben.
I want to ask a couple questions about the post play. Jalen Hill seems like he hasn't been able to sustain a good rhythm. Is he still bothered by his knee injury? And then it's 9 minutes against Arizona. What was he doing defensively that helped spark that run? And does that maybe give you more confidence to be able to go with the two big lineup, knowing that he can fill in if one of those guys gets into foul trouble?
Yeah, we got to get Jalen playing better, blocking shot. He hasn't blocked a shot in a while. It's tough here in foul trouble, right? You can't play. But we got to get him going. And one thing about Jalen, he's after practice. He's here early. He's the first guy or he's the last guy to leave. So he's going to work his way out of it. And it's my job to help him through that and get him back to where he's producing. And I'm not talking about just points. I'm talking about block shots and, you know, being an elite defensive player and an elite rebounder. Yes, with Kenny, Ben, definitely yes. He gave us some physicality. Obviously, you know, he had 4 fouls in his minutes played. Were you talking about, you broke up? Did you say Kenny or Jalen Clark?
Kenny, like when he
Yeah,
was in
okay.
there defensively, you guys went on a 16-2 run. What was he doing defensively that helped shut Arizona down?
Well, look, I mean, sometimes it's just the other team maybe missed a shot or two. But I will tell you from film study, he and Jalen Clark are very physical players, and we were able to hold Arizona during that stretch to 1 shot. You know, as you could, you know, their offensive rebounding, I think they had 15. We were able to hold them to 1 and out. And I think that was a big part of it. Kenny and Jalen both are tough physical guys. They were able to hold down the defensive glass. But yeah, to answer your question, it's nice to be able to have some confidence so you can put Kenny in, and he's not going to immediately foul and just let teams make free throws. You know, and that's the area where, you know, we talked about his minutes. We showed him on film, and he's got to continue to work at moving his feet and making people score over him and not fouling. That's something he struggles with in practice. But I always say this: your team's only as good as your weakest link. You know, so you got to get to a point. You know, if he can help us and we can put him in, he can give us productive minutes. It's a huge advantage for our team. And like you said, we got some Washington State's got a big team. You know, there's some teams in our league that Arizona, USC. There's some teams that got some size and we might have to play bigger. So it definitely could help us if Kenny can produce for us.
All right, we'll finish up here with Casey Jacobson.
Hey, Coach, good to see you today.
What's up, Case? How you doing?
I'm great. Hey, you've talked a lot about wanting to improve your defense, and I'm sure you'd love to start by this matchup on Thursday against a Washington State team, Coach, that presents some problems. They're super young, but Isaac Bonton is really tough to stay in front of, and they surround him with some young freshman shooters. So can you talk about the keys to stopping a good Cougar team?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, they're younger, but those guys got international experience. I'm not even going to attempt to say the names of some players. We're going with numbers this week. But Zero's an impressive player because the way he shoots the ball. But he looks like Jalen Hill, but he's a great 3-point shooter. You know, and 32 is obviously, it was a big-time recruit for them. Can really make shots. So their big guys can make shots. Really, their big guys are better shooters. You know, Noah Williams is a downhill driver. Bamba's a driver. Obviously, Bonton can shoot, but their bigger guys are their shooters. Kuntz, when he comes in the game, number 4. So, you know, where Bonton's so good, Casey, I mean, he's as talented. He's probably the most talented player in the Pac-12 that the rest of the country doesn't know about. Now, the rest of the country obviously doesn't think the Pac-12 plays basketball this year because all you got to do is look at, rankings and stuff like that. But Bonton's as good a player at the guard position. I would call him a lead guard, right? Because he's not a pass first point. But he'll pick you apart now. He hits the roll man in the pick and roll as good as anybody in America. He can go one-on-one and score as good as anybody we've guarded. So he's a problem. I mean, that guy's got super, super talent. So, I mean, that's what poses your problem. You know, how do you play the pick and roll against him? Because he finds the open man on ISOs. He just gets one-on-one baskets. I mean, he's a nightmare to have to defend. You got to hope that he wears himself out a little bit because I think the one thing that makes it tough on Kyle from a coaching standpoint is he's got to ask Bonton to do a lot with the ball, almost like on every possession. So that's probably the one thing you can hope. He gets a little bit tired because he's just a nightmare to guard.
We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for your time, Coach. We'll see everybody on Thursday.
All right, guys. Thank you.